Maya Okonkwo had exactly 3 seconds to decide how the rest of her life would go. The sauce was still warm on her chest. Braised chicken clung to her white chef's jacket like evidence. Heritage greens, her heritage greens, the ones she'd spent 6 hours perfecting, slid down her front and splattered onto marble that probably cost more than her apartment. 300 people held their breath. 100 phones captured everything. And Portia Whitmore just stood there, holding the empty plate, smiling like she'd won a prize. That, Portia announced to the frozen ballroom, is what happens when you serve peasant food to this family. 1 Mississippi. Maya's crew was watching through the kitchen window. She could feel their eyes, Darnell's panic, Rosa's fury, Marcus's desperate hope that she wouldn't do something they'd all regret. 2 Mississippi. Victoria Whitmore sat 3 feet away, not moving, not intervening, watching her daughter's cruelty with the satisfied calm of a woman who'd never been told no in her entire life. 3 Mississippi. Portia stepped closer. Her perfume was expensive. Her diamonds caught the chandelier light. Well, her voice carried across the silence. I'm waiting for my apology. And here's the thing about moments like this. They don't just happen. They're built. One humiliation stacked on another. One know your place, piled onto a lifetime of proving yourself to people who decided you were less before you ever walked through the door. 15 years Maya had spent building her name. 6 months planning this menu. 3 days of her crew sleeping in shifts, believing in her, trusting her to take them somewhere better. Now it was running down her chest while a diamond-covered heiress waited for her to grovel. Maya looked at the food on the floor. She looked at Portia's smile. She looked at Victoria's satisfaction. And she made her choice. 1 hour earlier. Behind you, hot pan. The kitchen was a symphony of chaos and trust. Maya moved through it like a conductor, her hands never stopping. Herb oil drizzled across 12 plates, a quick adjustment to the garnish on plate 7, a nod to Marcus that the timing was perfect. Darnell. She didn't look up. You're choking those soufflés. They're not going to run away. Sorry, chef. The 22-year-old loosened his grip, exhaling hard. Don't be sorry. Be calm. Rosa shuffled past with caramelized pear garnishes, 61 years old, and still the fastest hands in any kitchen. Kids more tense than my third husband at a paternity hearing. How many husbands have you had, Rosa? Enough to know men are like soufflés, pretty when they rise, disappointing when they don't. Maya bit back a laugh. This was her favorite part of any service. The controlled madness, the rhythm of people who'd learned to move around each other like dancers, the electricity in the air before plates hit tables. The Whitmore Foundation Gala was the biggest night of her career. 300 donors at $5,000 a plate. Full media coverage. The kind of event that could turn a respected chef into a name people remembered. She'd won the contract by promising something different. No gold leaf. No foam towers. No architectural nonsense built for Instagram instead of actual taste buds. Just honest technique, real flavor, food that meant something. 7 minutes to main course. Marcus called from the pass. We're ready. Maya surveyed her crew, nervous, focused, trusting her completely. Let's make these people feel something they can't buy. Chef. Marcus's voice shifted. The family's asking for you. Her stomach tightened. Now? We're about to plate. They said now. She held his gaze for a moment. 15 years of friendship lived in that look. Every late night, every crisis, every triumph they'd shared. Keep everything moving. 2 minutes. The service corridor was quiet, the gala sounds muffled. Champagne laughter, string quartet, the self-congratulating hum of wealth pretending to be generous. Victoria Whitmore waited near the ballroom entrance. The matriarch was 63, preserved by money and spite, wearing a gown that cost more than Maya's catering van. Her smile was a weapon disguised as politeness. Chef Okonkwo, we need to discuss your presentation. Mrs. Whitmore. Maya kept her voice even. We're about to serve. That's precisely the problem. Victoria's fingers tapped her champagne flute, slow, deliberate, like a countdown. I've been observing the plates. They're disappointing. Disappointing. Simple. Plain. Tap. 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 They look cheap. Maya felt her jaw tighten. You approved this menu 3 months ago. Every dish, every element. I approved descriptions on paper. I didn't realize river-smoked chicken with heritage greens would look like something from a church basement potluck. A younger woman stepped forward, sharp features, influencer smile, the practiced warmth of someone who'd never met a camera she didn't love. I'm Celeste Harmon. I consult on high-profile culinary experiences. The issue, chef, is that your food doesn't photograph. In today's world, presentation is everything. In my world, taste is everything. Your world. Victoria's smile thinned. Let me tell you about your world, Chef Okonkwo. I took a chance on you. People warned me. They said you had a chip on your shoulder about your background. My background. Working class. Self-taught. All very inspiring for a magazine profile. Victoria's voice dropped, intimate and venomous. But perhaps not suited for this level of event. This level of people. The words landed like precise cuts. Maya had heard versions of this her whole career. Too rough, too proud, too unwilling to remember her place. My background, Maya said slowly, is why this food is better than anything your regular caterers have ever served. Real technique. Real soul. Your guests will remember this meal. What they'll remember is how the plates looked in their photos. Victoria set down her champagne. Make adjustments. Add height. Add garnish. Add something that looks like we spent money. Or there will be consequences. The menu stays as planned. Victoria studied her for a long moment. I see. Well, I suppose we'll see how the evening goes, won't we? She walked away, Celeste trailing behind with one last pitying glance. Maya stood alone in the corridor, heart pounding, hands trembling with suppressed anger. Get through tonight. Prove them wrong. Let the food speak. She returned to her kitchen and plated the main course exactly as she designed it. The main course was perfect. Maya watched from the service entrance as donors took their first bites, as conversations died, as expressions shifted from polite expectation to genuine surprise. This was the magic. The moment when food became more than fuel, when it carried memory and meaning and made people feel something they couldn't name. Table 9, Marcus whispered beside her. That woman actually stopped mid-sentence. The chicken does that. Table 14's asking for the chef's name. Maya let herself breathe. The work was speaking for itself. Whatever Victoria thought, whatever threats she'd implied, this was undeniable. Don't celebrate yet, Rosa muttered, passing with dessert prep. Rich people are like cats. They purr right before they scratch. Movement caught Maya's attention near the head table. Victoria was speaking with a man Maya hadn't noticed before, tall, dark suit, expensive in an understated way. He had the Whitmore bone structure, but something different in his expression, something that looked almost like discomfort. Julian Whitmore, Marcus said, following her gaze. The son runs their PR. He looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. Wouldn't you? Before Maya could answer, a crash split the air. Porcelain shattering. Silverware scattering. A voice rising in theatrical outrage. Maya pushed through the service door without thinking. A young woman stood at the center table, designer gown, diamonds everywhere, hands raised in exaggerated disgust. Food dripped down James's server uniform. James, 20 years old, working his second catering event ever, looking like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. This is inedible. The woman's voice bounced off the chandeliers. What kind of garbage are you trying to feed us? Maya crossed the ballroom with measured steps, aware of every eye on her, every phone rising to record. Ma'am, she kept her voice calm. Is there a problem with your meal? The woman turned. Portia Whitmore, 25, recently back from some Swiss wellness retreat, wearing enough diamonds to feed a village for a year. Her smile was pure cruelty. The problem is my mother hired some nobody with delusions of adequacy to serve food that my housekeeper would reject. Look at this. She gestured at her plate. This is embarrassing. I'm sorry you feel that way. If you'd prefer, I can have the kitchen prepare. I don't want anything else from your kitchen. Portia picked up the nearest plate. Full. Beautiful. Perfect. Hours of Maya's crew's work in one dish. Maya saw it coming. She could have stepped back. Could have dodged. She didn't. The plate inverted onto her chest. Now, the sauce was cooling. The ballroom was silent. 300 witnesses, and not one of them moved to help. Portia waited, smile fixed, expecting surrender. Well, her voice dripped with satisfaction. I believe you owe me an apology. Maya looked down at herself, at the ruined jacket, at the food on the floor, hours of love and labor splattered across marble. She looked at James, trembling behind her. She looked at her crew through the kitchen window, frozen in helpless fury. She looked at Victoria Whitmore, still seated, still smiling, enjoying every moment. And she looked at Julian Whitmore, who had risen from his chair, his expression tight with something that might have been shame. 3 seconds to decide. Maya reached up, slowly, and wiped a smear of sauce from her collar. She examined it on her fingertips, looked at it like it was interesting rather than humiliating. Then she met Portia's eyes. "You'll regret this." The words came out quiet, calm, absolute. Portia's smile flickered. "What did you say?" "I said you'll regret this." Maya didn't blink. "All of you. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. And you'll remember this moment when it happens." She turned her back on Portia Whitmore, on Victoria, on 300 people with their phones and their silence and their complicity. She walked toward the kitchen, food still dripping from her jacket, spine straight, pace unhurried. She would not run. She would not cry. She would not give them a single goddamn thing. "Julian." Victoria's voice cracked like a whip. "Handle this." Maya pushed through the service doors. Her crew surrounded her instantly. Rosa's hand on her arm. Marcus moving to block the window. Darnell looking like he might cry. "Chef, keep plating. They have 2 more courses." "Maya, I said keep plating." Her voice didn't waver. "We're professionals. We finish what we start." She walked through the kitchen, past the stations, past the prep tables, out to the loading dock. Cold air hit her face. The Mississippi rolled past in darkness, indifferent to everything. Maya pressed her hands flat against her thighs and finally let herself shake. That was impressive. She whirled. Julian Whitmore stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets, face unreadable. "Get away from me. I'm not here to apologize for them." He stepped onto the dock, keeping distance. "I'm here to tell you what happens next. I don't need you to tell me anything. By 8 tomorrow morning, my mother will have made 15 phone calls. Every vendor you work with will get a visit. Every venue you've ever booked will get a warning. Every restaurant that might hire your people will discover that working with Maya Okonkwo is career suicide." Julian's jaw tightened. "You'll be finished in this city. Your whole crew will be finished." Maya stared at him. "And why are you telling me this?" "Because there might be another option." He met her eyes. "The Foundation's Livestream charity banquet is in 2 weeks. The biggest event of the year, broadcast across the region, covered by every media outlet in Missouri. If you help me make it flawless, I can stop the blacklist before it starts." "Help you?" Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Your sister just threw food at me. Your mother watched and smiled. And you want my help. I want to offer you a way to protect your people." He nodded toward the kitchen. "How many of them have families? How many have loans they're still paying? How many followed you here because they believed you could take them somewhere better?" She thought of Darnell, working 3 jobs to pay off culinary school. Rosa, supporting 2 grandkids on her salary. Marcus, saving for his own restaurant someday. "Why would you help me? You're one of them." "I am." Julian didn't flinch from it. "I've spent my entire adult life managing the damage my family does. Cleaning up their messes. Making their cruelty disappear." Something flickered in his expression. Exhaustion, maybe. Or disgust. "Tonight, I watched my sister humiliate a woman whose only crime was being good at her job. I watched my mother enjoy it. And I'm tired." Tired isn't the same as trustworthy. "No, it isn't." He straightened his cuffs, a nervous habit. "I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to consider that we might want the same thing, for my family to face some kind of consequence for once in their lives." Maya studied him. The expensive suit. The Whitmore jawline. The something else beneath it all, some crack in the polished surface. "I'll think about it." "Think fast." The call started 8. He turned to go, then paused. "What you said in there, that they'd regret this, did you mean it?" Maya looked at him, looked at the river, looked at the sauce drying on her jacket, the evidence of everything she'd just survived. Every word. Julian nodded slowly. "Then don't make it an empty threat. Whatever you decide, make it count." He disappeared back inside. Maya stood alone on the loading dock, cold air cutting through her ruined jacket, her career hanging by threads she couldn't see. "You'll regret this." She'd meant it when she said it. Meant it like a promise. Like a prophecy. Now she just had to figure out how to make it come true. Maya's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. She'd turned off notifications at 2 a.m., but the vibrations kept coming, a relentless pulse against her nightstand like a heartbeat that refused to die. By 6 a.m., she gave up on sleep entirely and made the mistake of looking. 47,000 views. then 89,000, then 200,000. Someone had uploaded the video with the caption, "Billionaire brat throws food at chef for not being fancy enough." Wait for the chef's response. The comments were a war zone. "That chef is my new hero." The composure. "Imagine being so rich you think you can treat people like this." She said, "You'll regret this like a movie villain, and I am here for it." Now the family was right. That food looked mid. At Priscilla Eats, the chef was clearly being difficult. The family had every right to. Maya stopped reading. Her hands were shaking again, and she couldn't tell if it was rage or exhaustion or something else entirely. Her apartment felt smaller than usual. A tiny one-bedroom in Solard, cramped kitchen she'd made her own, walls covered with photos of her crew at various events. Happy moments. Triumphant moments. Moments that felt like they belonged to someone else now. The phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Marcus. "You seeing this? We're everywhere." Then Rosa. "My granddaughter showed me the video. She said you're iconic. I don't know what that means, but she seems impressed." Then Darnell. "Chef, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. If I hadn't messed up the timing on table 6. Maya typed back immediately. "This is not your fault. Don't ever think that. Get some sleep." But sleep wasn't coming for any of them. Not today. By 8:15 a.m., Julian Whitmore's predictions started coming true. The first call came from her produce vendor, a man named Gerald who'd worked with her for 7 years. "Maya." His voice was strained, apologetic. "I got a visit this morning. A lawyer. Said there might be liability issues if I continue supplying your business." Liability issues. Something about health code investigations, supplier audits. He made it sound like working with you could shut me down. Gerald paused. "I'm sorry. I've got a family. I can't take that risk." "I understand. I hate this. You know I hate this." "I know." She hung up. The second call came at 8:45. Her rental company for equipment, ovens, warmers, the industrial mixer she used for large events. Same story. Legal concerns. Regretful apologies. Doors closing. By 10 a.m., 3 more vendors had called with variations of the same script. By noon, she'd lost access to half the infrastructure her business depended on. Maya sat at her kitchen table, staring at a list of crossed-out names, feeling the walls close in. This is how they do it, she thought. They don't have to destroy you publicly. They just quietly remove every brick until the whole building collapses. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Almost. "Hello. Ms. Okonkwo." A woman's voice, smooth and professional. "I'm calling from the Whitmore Foundation's communications office. Mrs. Whitmore would like to extend an invitation for you to attend a brief meeting this afternoon. There's been some misunderstanding about last night's events, and the family would like to resolve things amicably." Maya laughed. She couldn't help it. Amicably. Mrs. Whitmore believes this situation has been blown out of proportion by social media. She's prepared to make a generous offer to put this behind everyone. What kind of offer? That would be discussed at the meeting. Shall I schedule you for 3 p.m.? Maya's grip tightened on the phone. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse, to hang up, to never set foot near those people again. But her vendors' faces floated through her mind. Gerald's apologetic voice. The fear in Darnell's text. "Fine. 3 p.m. Where?" "The Whitmore estate. I'll send the address." The line went dead. Maya stared at her phone for a long moment. Then she got up, showered, and put on the most professional outfit she owned. If she was walking into the lion's den, she was going to look like she belonged there. The Whitmore estate sat on 40 acres in Ladue, the kind of old-money suburb where the houses had names instead of numbers. The driveway alone was longer than Maya's entire block. A woman in a gray suit met her at the door, the same smooth voice from the phone, now attached to a face that revealed nothing. "Ms. Okonkwo, thank you for coming. This way, please." The interior was exactly what Maya expected. Marble floors. Tasteful art. The kind of deliberate elegance that whispered we've had money so long we don't need to prove it anymore. She was led to a sitting room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking manicured gardens. Victoria Whitmore sat in a cream-colored armchair, dressed in casual silk, looking like she'd never done anything unpleasant in her life. Celeste Harmon stood near the window, phone in hand, already filming. And in the corner, watching with an expression Maya couldn't read, was Julian. Chef Okonkwo. Victoria's smile was warm, welcoming, completely false. "Thank you for accepting my invitation. Please sit. Maya remained standing. What do you want? Direct. I appreciate that. Victoria gestured to Celeste, who lowered her phone slightly, but didn't stop recording. I'll be equally direct. Last night's incident has become a public relations challenge. The video is everywhere. People are saying unkind things about my daughter. Your daughter threw food at me. My daughter expressed frustration in an unfortunate way. She's young. She's passionate. These things happen in high-pressure environments. Maya stared at her. She humiliated me in front of 300 people. And you humiliated her in front of 3 million. Victoria's warmth flickered, showing ice beneath. That little speech of yours. You'll regret this. It's become quite the rallying cry. People are treating my family like villains. My foundation's donors are asking questions. This is inconvenient. Inconvenient. So here's what I'm proposing. Victoria leaned forward slightly. You release a public statement saying the video was taken out of context. That Portia was reacting to a genuine food safety concern. That you've since resolved your differences and hold no ill will toward the family. Maya felt a laugh building in her chest, the kind that could turn into a scream. You want me to lie? I want you to be practical. Victoria's eyes hardened. In exchange, I'll call off my legal team. Your vendors will mysteriously find their concerns resolved. You'll receive a payment of $50,000 for your inconvenience. And we'll never speak of this again. The room went quiet. Maya could hear her own heartbeat, could feel Celeste's camera capturing every micro-expression on her face. $50,000. Her vendors restored. Her career saved. All she had to do was tell the world that Portia Whitmore was justified in treating her like garbage. No. Victoria blinked. I'm sorry. I said no. Maya's voice was steady, stronger than she felt. I'm not going to lie to protect your daughter from the consequences of her own cruelty. That video shows exactly what happened. If people think your family are villains, maybe that's because they watched your family act like villains. The warmth vanished from Victoria's face entirely. What remained was cold, reptilian, ancient. I see. She stood slowly. Then let me be clear about what happens next. By the end of this week, you will be unable to book a single event in this city. Your staff will be unemployable. Your equipment will be repossessed. Your reputation will be so thoroughly destroyed that you won't be able to get work at a fast food restaurant. She stepped closer, close enough that Maya could smell her perfume, something floral and suffocating. I have been building influence in this city for 40 years. I have funded hospitals, universities, political campaigns. I have made and broken careers you've never even heard of. You are nothing. A momentary irritation. And I will crush you so completely that no one will even remember your name. Maya didn't step back, didn't flinch. Are you finished? Something flickered in Victoria's expression, surprise, maybe, or the first hint of uncertainty. I said what I needed to say. Maya turned toward the door. So did I last night. I told you that you'd regret it. I meant every word. Enjoy your week, Mrs. Whitmore. She walked out without looking back. She made it to her car before the shaking started. Her hands trembled so badly she couldn't get the key in the ignition. Her breath came in short, ragged gasps. The reality of what she'd just done crashed over her like a wave. $50,000. Your vendor's back. Your career's saved. And she'd walked away. A tap on her window made her jump. Julian Whitmore stood outside, gesturing for her to roll it down. What do you want? To talk. Not here. He glanced back at the house. There's a coffee shop on Clayton Road, about 10 minutes from here. Blue awning. Meet me there. Why should I? Because my mother just declared war on you, and you're going to need allies. He held her gaze. 10 minutes. If you don't like what I have to say, you can leave and never speak to me again. He walked away before she could respond. Maya sat in her car, hands still shaking, mind racing. Don't trust him, the smart part of her brain warned. He's one of them. But another part, the part that had built a career on taking risks, on trusting her instincts, whispered something different. You're going to need help. And right now, he's the only one offering. She started the car. The coffee shop was small, quiet, the kind of place where people worked on laptops and nobody paid attention to anyone else. Julian was already there when she arrived, sitting in a corner booth with 2 cups in front of him. I didn't know what you drink, so I got black coffee and a latte. Take your pick. Maya slid into the booth, choosing the black coffee. Talk. Julian wrapped his hands around the remaining cup. My mother is going to try to destroy you. You know that. She made it clear. What she didn't tell you is that she's scared. He met Maya's eyes. That video has over 1 million views now. The comments are brutal. Donors are calling the foundation, asking if this is who they're really supporting. For the first time in decades, my mother is facing actual consequences for how she treats people. So she's going to make an example of me. Yes, unless we give her something else to worry about. Maya took a sip of her coffee. It was good, strong and bitter, exactly what she needed. You mentioned a charity banquet. The livestream event. The St. Louis Hope Gala. 2 weeks from now. It's the foundation's biggest fundraiser, broadcast live, covered by every local media outlet, attended by everyone who matters in this city. Julian leaned forward. My mother needs it to be perfect. Her reputation depends on it. If that event goes wrong, publicly, spectacularly wrong, she won't be able to blame you. She'll be too busy doing damage control. You want me to sabotage it? No. Julian shook his head. I want you to compete with it. Maya frowned. What do you mean? The gala is at the Whitmore Center downtown. Directly across the street is a vacant storefront. Used to be a restaurant, closed 6 months ago. The space is still equipped. Kitchen, seating, everything. You want me to open a restaurant in 2 weeks? I want you to open a pop-up. 1 night only. The same night as the gala. Julian's eyes were intense now, focused. You serve real food to real people, while my mother serves overpriced nonsense to donors. You charge pay what you can while she charges $5,000 a plate. You show this city the difference between actual generosity and performance. Maya stared at him. That's insane. It's a statement. And it's the only leverage you have. He pulled out his phone, showed her a news article. The video is still trending. People are calling you a hero for standing up to wealth and cruelty. Right now, you have something my mother can't buy, public sympathy. But that won't last forever. In a week, people will move on to the next outrage. You need to act while the attention is still on you. And what do you get out of this? Julian was quiet for a moment. I told you last night. I'm tired of cleaning up my family's messes. Tired of watching them hurt people and making it disappear. I've spent my entire adult life being the one who handles things. He looked down at his coffee. For once, I want to be on the other side. The side that actually does something right. That's very noble. It's also very convenient. It's the truth. He met her eyes again. I'm not asking you to trust me completely. I'm asking you to let me help. If I do anything that seems like a betrayal, you can walk away. But right now, we both want the same thing, for my mother to finally face consequences. Isn't that enough? Maya turned his words over in her mind. The risks were enormous. The chances of success were slim. And she was putting her faith in a man whose family had just declared war on everything she'd built. But she thought of her crew, of Darnell's student loans and Rose's grandchildren and Marcus's dreams, of the vendors who'd apologized while shutting their doors, of Victoria Whitmore's cold eyes and colder promise. I will crush you so completely that no one will even remember your name. Maya set down her coffee cup. I'll need the space secured by tomorrow. I'll need equipment that can't be traced back to any vendor my mother might pressure. And I'll need you to stay out of my kitchen. Julian almost smiled. Done. And Julian? Maya leaned forward. If you're playing me, if any of this is some kind of trap, I will find a way to make you regret it worse than your mother ever could. Understand. He held her gaze without flinching. Understood. They shook hands across the table. And Maya Okonkwo started planning her war. She called an emergency meeting at Rosa's apartment that night. Her core crew gathered in the cramped living room. Rosa in her ancient armchair, Marcus on the floor, Darnell perched nervously on the arm of the sofa. I'm not going to lie to you, Maya said. The Whitmores are coming for us. By the end of this week, most of our vendors will be gone. Our equipment rentals are already canceled. If we try to operate normally, we're finished. The silence was heavy. Darnell looked like he might cry. So we're not going to operate normally. Maya pulled out her phone, showed them the photo Julian had sent, the vacant storefront across from the Whitmore Center. We're going to do something crazy instead. She explained the plan. The pop-up, the pay-what-you-can model, the direct competition with the Whitmore Gala. When she finished, Rosa spoke first. That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. I know. We'd be going up against the most powerful family in St. Louis with 2 weeks of prep and no safety net. I know. We could lose everything. We're already losing everything. Maya looked at each of them in turn. Victoria Whitmore is going to destroy our careers whether we fight back or not. The only question is whether we go down quietly or whether we make some noise first. Marcus stood up slowly. I've been saving for my own restaurant for 6 years. Following you around, learning everything I could, waiting for the right moment. He met Maya's eyes. This is the moment. I'm in. Darnell swallowed hard. I can't afford to lose this job. I've got loans, I've got rent, He stopped, took a breath. But I also can't afford to work for someone who backs down when things get hard. That's not who I want to be. I'm in. Everyone looked at Rosa. The old woman was quiet for a long moment, her weathered face unreadable. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a worn photograph, a young woman in chef's whites, standing proudly in front of a restaurant. That's my mother, Rosa said. She opened a restaurant in 1962, saved for 15 years to do it. And 3 months after opening, a group of men came and told her she wasn't welcome in that neighborhood, told her to leave or face consequences. She looked up at Maya. She didn't leave. She served food for 37 more years, and she never let anyone tell her where she belonged. Rosa tucked the photo away. I'm not about to dishonor her memory by running from a fight. I'm in. Maya felt something loosen in her chest, a knot of fear she hadn't realized she'd been carrying. Then let's get to work, she said. We've got 2 weeks to pull off a miracle. The planning started immediately. Marcus took inventory of what equipment they could source independently. Darnell started researching food suppliers outside Victoria's reach. Rosa began calling in favors from every chef she'd worked with in 40 years. Maya sat at Rosa's kitchen table, sketching menu ideas, when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. No words, just a link. She clicked it. A video started playing. Celeste Harmon, standing in what looked like the Whitmore estate kitchen, smiling at the camera. Hey everyone. So excited to share some news. After the unfortunate incident at last night's gala, the Whitmore Foundation has asked me to step in as lead culinary director for their upcoming Hope Gala. I'm so honored to be part of such an important event, and I can't wait to show you all what real elevated cuisine looks like. Stay tuned. The video ended. A new text appeared. She's trying to take your spotlight. Don't let her. Jay? Maya stared at the screen. Celeste Harmon, the influencer who'd been whispering in Victoria's ear, who'd smiled while Maya was humiliated, who'd stood there filming while Victoria threatened to destroy her. Now she was going to be the star of the Hope Gala, the face of Whitmore culinary excellence. The replacement. Maya felt the anger rise in her chest, hot and clean and clarifying. Good, she thought. Give me a target. She typed a response to Julian. Tell me everything you know about Celeste Harmon. 3 dots appeared. Then, come to the storefront tomorrow at noon. I'll have more than information. I'll have proof. Maya set down her phone. Outside the window, the St. Louis skyline glittered against the dark sky, beautiful, indifferent, waiting. 2 weeks. 1 chance. Everything on the line. You'll regret this. She was just getting started. The storefront smelled like dust and old grease. Maya stood in the middle of what used to be a restaurant, sunlight cutting through grimy windows, illuminating a space that looked like it had been abandoned mid-service. Chairs stacked haphazardly, a pass window clouded with film, kitchen equipment lurking under tarps like sleeping ghosts. It's not much, Julian said from the doorway. It's a disaster. It's a disaster with potential. He stepped inside, footsteps echoing on cracked tile. The kitchen equipment still works. I had someone check yesterday. Stoves, ovens, walk-in cooler, all functional. The space just needs cleaning and about 100 hours of work. In 2 weeks. 12 days, actually. Maya walked slowly through the dining room, running her fingers along a dusty table. The bones were good. Exposed brick, high ceilings, the kind of industrial charm that people paid extra for these days. But good bones didn't mean anything without muscle. Why did this place close? Owner had a heart attack. His kids didn't want to take over. It's been sitting empty ever since, tied up in estate proceedings. Julian pulled out his phone. I made some calls. The family's willing to let us use it for 1 night in exchange for a donation to their father's medical bills. No paper trail. No connection to the Whitmores. Maya turned to face him. You've thought this through. I've had practice thinking around my family. He met her eyes. They've spent decades covering their tracks. I've spent just as long learning where the tracks lead. And where do Celeste's tracks lead? Julian's expression shifted, something darker moving beneath the surface. That's what I wanted to show you. But first, I need you to understand something about how my family operates. He walked to the window, looking out at the street. The Whitmore Center loomed across the road, glass and steel and architectural arrogance, a monument to money that never had to apologize. My mother doesn't just destroy people, Julian said quietly. She cultivates them first, finds their weaknesses, builds relationships, and then, when they're useful or when they become a threat, she uses everything she's gathered. What does that have to do with Celeste? Julian turned back to face her. Celeste Harmon isn't just some influencer my mother hired. She's been on the Whitmore payroll for 3 years. Maya frowned. 3 years? But she said she was a consultant. She is. She consults on how to destroy people. Julian pulled out a folder from his jacket. Actual paper, old school, untraceable. Celeste's job is to infiltrate food industry circles. She builds relationships with chefs, vendors, restaurant owners. She learns their secrets, their vulnerabilities, their pressure points. And when my mother needs someone eliminated from competition, Celeste provides the ammunition. He handed Maya the folder. Inside were photographs, printed emails, receipts. A web of connections that made her stomach turn. 2 years ago, a chef named David Okafor was the frontrunner for a James Beard Award. He'd refused to cater a Whitmore event, said he didn't work with families who treated staff like furniture. 3 months later, rumors started circulating about health code violations in his restaurant. Anonymous tips, coordinated bad reviews. His award nomination was withdrawn. Maya flipped to the next page. More names, more destroyed careers. Celeste befriended his sous chef, Julian continued. Fed her information to the press. Made it look like internal whistleblowing. He paused. David closed his restaurant last year. He drives for a rideshare company now. The folder suddenly felt heavier in Maya's hands. And Maria Santos, you might remember her. She had that fusion place in the Grove that everyone loved. She made the mistake of criticizing a Whitmore Foundation event on social media, called the food uninspired. I remember her. She moved to Chicago. She fled to Chicago. After Celeste spent 6 months systematically destroying her vendor relationships, her staff loyalty, and her marriage. Julian's voice was flat. Maria's husband worked for a Whitmore subsidiary. He was given a choice, his wife's business or his career. He chose his career. Maya closed the folder. Her hands weren't shaking. She was past that now. What she felt was colder, harder. Why are you showing me this? Because you need to understand what you're up against. And because, Julian hesitated. Because I helped cover some of it up. The words hung in the air between them. I didn't know the details at first, he said. I was young. I believed my mother when she said we were protecting the family, protecting the foundation. By the time I understood what I was really doing, I was in too deep. I had blood on my hands. And now you want absolution? No. He met her eyes steadily. I want to stop it. That's not the same thing. Maya studied him for a long moment. The expensive suit, the Whitmore cheekbones, the exhaustion in his eyes that no amount of money could hide. You said you had proof. Proof of what exactly? Proof that Celeste has been planning your destruction for months. Long before the gala incident. Maya went still. What do you mean, months? Julian reached into the folder and pulled out a single sheet of paper. A printed email, dated 4 months ago. Target identified, Maya Okonkwo. Rising profile in St. Louis culinary scene. Known for soul food, approach, and working-class background. Potentially threatens Whitmore Foundation's preferred caterers. Recommend cultivation followed by controlled elimination. Timeline, 6 to 8 months. The email was from Celeste. The recipient was Victoria Whitmore. Maya read it 3 times. Each time, the words cut deeper. Target identified. Controlled elimination. 4 months ago, before the gala contract. Before any of this started. The gala job wasn't an opportunity, Maya said slowly. It was a setup. My mother wanted to hire you so she could destroy you publicly. The contract, the impossible expectations, Portia's tantrum, all of it was orchestrated. Julian's voice was heavy. You were chosen because you were good enough to be a threat. And because you were vulnerable enough to be made an example. Maya set the paper down on a dusty table. Her mind was racing, connecting dots she hadn't seen before. Celeste was at the meeting before the gala. She was feeding your mother criticism about my food. Setting the stage. Making sure my mother was primed to be disappointed. And Portia is cruel on her own. She didn't need coaching. But Celeste made sure she was seated where the cameras would catch everything. Julian's jaw tightened. The whole thing was designed to go viral, to make you famous for being humiliated. They just didn't expect you to fight back. Maya walked to the window, looking out at the Whitmore Center. All that glass and steel, hiding so much rot. What else do you have? Financial records showing Celeste has received over $200,000 from shell companies connected to the foundation. Correspondence detailing at least 6 other chefs she's targeted over the years. And testimony from former Whitmore employees who were forced out for refusing to participate in these operations. Testimony. Maya turned. People willing to go on record? 3 so far. 2 are scared but angry. 1 is dying of cancer and has nothing left to lose. Julian's expression was grim. They've been waiting for someone to fight back. Someone who might actually win. Win how? Your mother has lawyers, politicians, media contacts. She's been doing this for 40 years. What can a pop-up restaurant possibly do against all that? Alone? Nothing. Julian stepped closer. But you're not alone. You have a story that people care about. You have public sympathy that my mother can't buy. And you have me. Someone who knows where all the bodies are buried because I helped bury some of them. That's not exactly reassuring. It's not meant to be reassuring. It's meant to be useful. He held her gaze. Maya, I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to use me. Use what I know. Use my access. Use my guilt. I don't care about being redeemed. I care about stopping this before someone else ends up like David Okafor or Maria Santos. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Outside, traffic hummed past. Normal people living normal lives, unaware of the quiet wars being fought in their city. There's something I need to know first, she said finally. Ask. That night at the gala, when Portia threw the food, you looked disturbed. Before I even said anything, you looked like you wanted to be anywhere else. She watched his face carefully. Why? Julian was silent. Something shifted in his expression, a crack in the careful composure. Because it reminded me of something. Of what? He turned away, walking to the dusty bar in the corner. His fingers traced patterns in the grime. When I was 12, my mother hosted a birthday party for me at the estate. A huge affair. Every important family in St. Louis, their children, caterers and entertainers, and the whole spectacle. His voice was distant, remembering. The chef she hired made a cake that was not what my mother wanted. The wrong shade of blue. Slightly lopsided. Maya waited. She called him into the ballroom in front of everyone. All those families, all those children. And she told him exactly what she thought of his work. She used words I didn't even understand yet. And then she picked up the cake, the whole cake, and dropped it on his shoes. Julian's hand stilled on the bar. I remember his face. The humiliation. The way he just stood there and took it because he needed the job, needed the money. I remember my mother's friends laughing. I remember Portia clapping like it was entertainment. He finally turned back to Maya. I was 12. I didn't do anything. I just watched. You were a child. I was old enough to know it was wrong. Old enough to choose differently. And I didn't. He met her eyes. Every time I've handled things for my family, I see that chef's face. Every time I clean up their messes, I remember being 12 and doing nothing. That's why I looked disturbed at the gala. Because I realized I was still doing nothing. Just watching. The silence stretched between them. Maya felt something shift in her understanding. Not trust, exactly, but recognition. The weight of complicity wasn't unfamiliar to her. She'd served wealthy clients who treated staff like furniture. She'd smiled through disrespect to keep her business alive. Small compromises justified as survival. Until the compromise was too big to justify anymore. Okay, she said finally. Julian blinked. Okay, I'll work with you. Not because I trust you, I don't. But because you have information I need, and because you're right about one thing. She picked up the folder from the table. Someone needs to stop this. And if I'm going down anyway, I'd rather go down fighting than hiding. Something like relief flickered across Julian's face. What do you need from me? First, I need this space cleaned and operational within 48 hours. Think you can manage that? I'll have a crew here by tonight. Second, I need a meeting with those former employees. The ones willing to testify. I can arrange that for tomorrow. Third, Maya paused, looking around the dusty space. I need you to stay out of my kitchen. You can help with logistics, information, whatever. But when it comes to the food, that's mine. You don't get an opinion. Julian almost smiled. Understood. Good. Maya walked toward the door, then stopped. One more thing. Yes. If you're playing me, If any of this is another Whitmore setup, I won't just expose you. I'll make sure your mother knows exactly who betrayed her. She held his gaze. And we both know what she does to people who betray her. Julian didn't flinch. I know. Then we understand each other. She walked out into the sunlight, folder tucked under her arm, mind already racing through plans. Rosa's apartment had become their war room. By evening, Maya's core crew had gathered again. Marcus reviewing equipment lists, Darnell researching suppliers, Rosa on the phone with what seemed like every chef she'd ever worked with. Maya spread the folder's contents across Rosa's kitchen table. The photographs, the emails, the damning paper trail of Celeste Harmon's true purpose. Jesus, Marcus breathed, picking up the David Okafor file. I knew his restaurant closed, but I thought it was money problems. It was money problems, after Celeste destroyed his reputation and drove away his customers. Maya pointed to the email chain. She spent 8 months building trust with his sous chef. Got her to share information about kitchen operations, personal struggles, financial pressures. Then she used all of it to tear him apart. Rosa set down her phone, face grim. I remember Maria Santos. Sweet woman. Made the best mole I've ever tasted outside Mexico. She picked up Maria's file, scanned through it. Her husband left her. He was given a choice. His career or his wife's business. He chose the career, and then Celeste leaked the divorce proceedings to food bloggers. Made it look like Maria was unstable, difficult to work with. And your mother orchestrated all of this? Darnell asked, looking sick. Not my mother. Julian's voice came from the doorway. Everyone turned. I brought coffee. And supplies. Behind him, 2 men carried boxes of cleaning equipment, sanitizers, and what looked like a small generator. I didn't hear you knock, Rosa said flatly. I didn't. The door was open. Julian set down the coffee carrier and turned to the crew. I know you don't trust me. I wouldn't trust me either. But I meant what I said to Maya. I'm here to help. Use me however you need to. We need you to stay out of our way, Marcus said. I can do that too. Julian didn't seem offended. But first, Maya, you should see this. He pulled out his phone, showed her a video. Celeste Harmon, live streaming from a professional kitchen, wearing pristine whites that had clearly never seen actual service. Day 1 of prep for the Hope Gala, and I'm so excited to share this journey with all of you. We're creating a menu that celebrates St. Louis's finest traditions while elevating them to true luxury status. Unlike some chefs who confuse rustic with refined, we understand that charity events deserve excellence, not comfort food cosplay. The comments scrolled past, thousands of viewers, mostly supportive, a few asking pointed questions about that video from the Whitmore Gala. She's positioning herself as the hero, Maya said quietly. The professional who stepped in after the difficult chef caused problems. She's also making a mistake. Julian pointed to the background of the video. See those prep stations? That's the Whitmore Center's events kitchen. She's showing their setup, their equipment, their staff. So she's also showing their weaknesses. Julian zoomed in on a corner of the frame. 3 days ago, they had a small fire in the secondary prep kitchen. Nothing serious, but it damaged their backup cooling system. They're operating at about 70% capacity and trying to hide it. Rosa leaned in, eyes sharp. How do you know that? Because I authorized the repair budget this morning. My mother doesn't know yet. She delegated event operations to Portia and Celeste. A grim smile crossed his face. They're so focused on destroying Maya's reputation that they're neglecting the actual event. The Hope Gala is in 11 days, and they're already behind schedule. Maya studied the video, mind working. If they're behind schedule, they'll cut corners, rush things, make mistakes. Exactly. And when they make mistakes, people will be watching. The whole city will be watching. Because we'll give them something to compare it to. Maya looked at her crew. We're not just opening a pop-up. We're creating a contrast. Everything they do wrong, we do right. Everything they do for show, we do for real. Marcus straightened up, catching her vision. Side by side. Same night. Let people see the difference. Let people feel the difference, Rosa corrected. Food isn't about seeing. It's about feeling. Darnell raised his hand tentatively. But won't they try to shut us down? If we're literally across the street from their big event, won't Mrs. Whitmore send lawyers or health inspectors or something? She'll try, Julian said. But the storefront is legal. The permits are filing tomorrow under a shell company. She can't connect to any of us. By the time she realizes what's happening, It'll be too late to stop it without causing a public scene. She could still make a scene, Marcus pointed out. She doesn't seem like the type to care about embarrassment. She cares about one thing, control. Right now, she thinks she's already won. Maya's been blacklisted, the video narrative is shifting thanks to Celeste's PR blitz, and the Hope Gala is going to cement the Whitmore Foundation's reputation. Julian's eyes hardened. She won't see this coming. And by the time she does, we'll have thousands of people watching. She can't crush us quietly if we're not quiet. Maya looked around the room. At Marcus's determined face. At Darnell's nervous hope. At Rose's weathered strength. At Julian, the enemy's son, offering them weapons from inside the fortress. Then let's stop being quiet, she said. Here's what we do. She talked for an hour. Menu concepts, service flow, staffing needs, marketing strategy. Julian took notes. Rosa made suggestions. Marcus asked hard questions about logistics. Darnell started researching local farms that might sell to them outside the Whitmore blacklist. By midnight, they had the skeleton of a plan. By 2 a.m., they had the beginnings of a menu. By dawn, Maya stood alone in the storefront, watching the first cleaning crew arrive, watching the space transform from abandoned dream to possible future. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know what you're planning. We should talk. C. Maya stared at the message. C for Celeste. The enemy wanted to negotiate. She typed back. Talk about what? 3 dots appeared. Then, about how I can help you destroy Victoria Whitmore. She's not just your enemy. She's everyone's. Meet me tonight. Come alone. I'll explain everything. Maya's thumb hovered over the keyboard. Every instinct screamed trap. Every lesson she'd learned said don't trust, don't engage, don't give them another weapon. But another thought surfaced, colder, more calculating. What if Celeste is exactly as trapped as everyone else? What if the person hunting you is also being hunted? She looked up at the Whitmore Center across the street. All that glass and steel. All those secrets. Where and when? The response came immediately. 10 p.m. The old Lemp Brewery. South entrance. And Maya, bring the folder Julian gave you. It's time you learned the whole truth. Maya pocketed her phone. The game had just changed again. The Lemp Brewery loomed against the night sky like a Gothic cathedral to forgotten industry. Maya had been here once before, years ago, for a food festival that tried to make the abandoned complex trendy. It hadn't worked. The place was too heavy with history. 19th century grandeur rotted into urban decay, the kind of building that swallowed light and sound and hope. Perfect place for a trap. She parked a block away, texted Marcus her location. If I'm not back by midnight, call the cops and Julian, in that order, and walked toward the south entrance with the folder tucked inside her jacket. The door was already open. A single work light illuminated the passage beyond. Someone wanted her to find her way. Maya stepped inside. The brewing floor stretched before her, massive copper vats corroded green, moonlight streaming through broken skylights. The smell of rust and stale water hung in the air. Somewhere, water dripped in a rhythm like a slow heartbeat. You came alone. Celeste Harmon emerged from the shadows near a collapsed staircase. She looked different than she had at the gala. No perfect makeup, no influencer smile. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair pulled back in a messy knot. She looked, Maya realized, exhausted. You asked me to. I asked. I didn't think you'd actually do it. Celeste laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're either very brave or very stupid. I've been called both. Maya stopped about 15 feet away, keeping distance. You said you wanted to help me destroy Victoria Whitmore. That's a strange offer from someone who spent 3 years doing her dirty work. Celeste flinched. You've seen the folder. I've seen enough to know you've ruined at least 6 careers on Victoria's orders. David Okafor, Maria Santos, others. Maya's voice was steady, but cold. Why should I believe anything you say? Because I'm next. The words hung in the dusty air. Celeste walked to one of the rusted vats, leaning against it like she needed the support. 3 years ago, I was a food blogger with a decent following and a mountain of student debt. Victoria approached me at an event, said she admired my insights, wanted to offer me consulting work. The money was incredible. All I had to do was network, build relationships, report back on what I learned. Spy. I told myself it was research. Market intelligence. Everyone does it, right? Celeste's laugh was bitter. By the time I understood what I was really doing, by the time I saw what happened to David, I was in too deep. She had things on me. Recordings of conversations where I said terrible things about people. Financial records showing payments I couldn't explain. One word from her, and my career would be over. My life would be over. Maya felt nothing shift inside her. No sympathy. Not yet. So you kept doing it. I kept surviving. Celeste met her eyes. You think I'm a monster. Maybe I am. But I'm also a prisoner. The only difference between me and the people I've helped destroy is that I said yes when Victoria asked. They said no. That's a pretty big difference. Is it? Celeste pushed off the vat, stepping closer. What would you have done, Maya? If someone offered you a way out of debt, a path to success, and all you had to do was share some gossip? Would you have seen the trap before it closed? Maya didn't answer. She didn't have to. I'm not asking for forgiveness, Celeste continued. I'm asking for a chance to make it right. Or at least to burn it all down on my way out. What do you mean, on your way out? Celeste reached into her jacket and pulled out a USB drive. Small, black, unremarkable. This contains everything. Every operation I've run for Victoria. Every chef I've targeted. Names, dates, methods, payments. Communications going back 3 years, including direct orders from Victoria herself. She held it up. This is enough to end her. Not just embarrass her, end her. Criminal charges. Foundation collapse. Complete destruction. Maya stared at the drive. Such a small thing to hold so much devastation. Why give this to me? Because you're the only one fighting back. Everyone else, they gave up. They took settlements, signed NDAs, moved away. But you stood in that ballroom with food dripping down your chest and told Portia Whitmore she'd regret it. Something flickered in Celeste's expression, admiration, maybe, or envy. I've been waiting 3 years for someone who wouldn't break. I think you might be her. And what do you get out of this? Witness protection, hopefully. A chance to disappear before Victoria realizes what I've done. Celeste's voice dropped. I know what she does to people who betray her. I've helped her do it. I need to be gone before she finds out. Maya considered the offer. The drive. The woman holding it. How do I know this isn't another setup? That this drive isn't full of fabricated evidence designed to make me look like the aggressor? You don't. Celeste shrugged. You'll have to verify everything yourself. But I can give you something right now. Something you can check tonight. What? The Hope Gala menu. Victoria changed it yesterday without telling the kitchen staff. She's planning a surprise reveal. A dish that's going to look exactly like your signature river smoked chicken. Same presentation, same garnishes, same everything. Maya went cold. What? She's going to serve your dish at her gala and claim it was always the plan. Then she'll have Celeste, have me, go on camera and say that you stole the concept from the Whitmore Foundation. That your whole career has been built on ideas you took from events you catered for wealthy families. Celeste's voice was flat. She's not just trying to destroy your business. She's trying to erase you. Make it so no one believes anything you ever created was really yours. The betrayal hit Maya like a physical blow. Her dish. Her creation. The recipe she'd developed over years, refined through countless iterations, poured her grandmother's memory into. Victoria wasn't just trying to ruin her. She was trying to steal her soul. When Maya's voice came out rough. The reveal is planned for the gala's live broadcast. Prime time. Maximum exposure. Celeste held out the USB drive. Everything's on here. The menu change orders. The PR script. The whole plan. Maya took the drive. It was warm from Celeste's hand. Why are you really doing this, Celeste? And don't give me the redemption speech again. What's the real reason? Celeste was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was smaller than before. Because Victoria called me yesterday. Told me that after the gala, I'd be transitioning out of my consulting role. She thanked me for my service and said the foundation would provide a generous reference. Her jaw tightened. After 3 years of doing her dirty work, she's throwing me away. Just like everyone else. I'm not useful anymore, so I'm garbage. And you want revenge. I want to matter. Just once, I want something I do to actually matter. Celeste met Maya's eyes. Help me matter, Maya. Use what I'm giving you. Burn her empire to the ground. And when you do, remember that I helped. That's all I'm asking. Just remember. Maya tucked the drive into her pocket. I'll verify everything on here. If it checks out. It will. If it checks out, Maya repeated. Then we'll talk about what comes next. But Celeste. She stepped closer, close enough to see the fear behind the exhaustion in Celeste's eyes. If this is a trap, If you're playing both sides, I will find out. And I will make sure Victoria knows exactly who gave me the ammunition to hurt her. Celeste didn't flinch. I know. I'm counting on it. What does that mean? It means I've burned my bridges either way. Victoria's already suspicious. She has people watching me. The only reason I could meet you tonight is because I told her I was gathering intelligence on your movements. A ghost of a smile crossed Celeste's face. So either you use what I've given you and I disappear before the fallout, or you betray me and Victoria destroys me herself. Either way, I'm done being her weapon. She turned and walked toward the far exit, footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. Celeste. She paused but didn't turn around. The people you helped destroy. David. Maria. The others. Maya's voice was quiet but carried in the emptiness. Do you think about them? Every night. Celeste's voice was barely audible. Every single night. She disappeared into the darkness. Maya stood alone in the ruined brewery, the weight of the USB drive heavy in her pocket, the weight of what came next heavier still. She didn't sleep that night. Instead, she drove to Rose's apartment, woke up Marcus, and spent 4 hours going through the USB drive's contents on a laptop that wasn't connected to any network. The files were extensive, organized, damning. Communications between Celeste and Victoria spanning 3 years. Payment records from shell companies. Detailed dossiers on targeted chefs, complete with vulnerability assessments and destruction timelines. Media manipulation strategies. Even recordings, audio files of Victoria giving explicit instructions on how to ruin specific individuals. I want him broken, Victoria's voice said in one recording. Not just professionally, personally. When this is over, I want him to doubt every decision he's ever made. I want him to wonder if he ever had any talent at all, or if it was all an accident. Marcus looked sick. This is psychotic. This is the Whitmore Foundation. Maya clicked to the next folder. And here's what Celeste was talking about. The menu change documents. Dated 3 days ago. Victoria's handwritten notes in the margins. River smoke preparation. Match Okonkwo's presentation exactly. Document everything. Claim prior creation. And there, attached to the file, was Maya's signature dish. Photographed at an event from 2 years ago, a private dinner she'd catered for a tech company. Someone had been documenting her work, building a case against her long before the gala incident. She's been planning this for years, Marcus said quietly. She's been planning something. I just happened to be the target she chose. Maya closed the laptop. But now we know. And knowing changes everything. Does it? Rose's voice came from the kitchen doorway. She shuffled in with 3 cups of coffee, setting them on the table with deliberate care. We know Victoria is evil. We knew that already. We know she's planning to steal your dish. That's new, but it doesn't change the math. She still has power. We still have nothing. We have this. Maya tapped the laptop. Evidence of criminal conspiracy. Witness tampering. Fraud. If we release this, she claims it's fabricated. Her lawyers bury us in defamation suits. Her media contacts spin it as a bitter chef's revenge fantasy. Rosa sat down heavily. I've seen this before, Mija. The truth doesn't matter when you're fighting people with money. They just buy a different truth. So what do we do? Rosa was quiet for a moment, stirring her coffee slowly. My mother, the one who kept her restaurant open for 37 years, she used to say something. When the wolf is at your door, don't try to outfight him. Make him chase you until he's exhausted. Then let him fall into his own trap. What does that mean for us? It means we don't release this evidence. Not yet. Not directly. Rosa's eyes were sharp despite the hour. We let Victoria spring her trap at the gala. We let her serve your dish and claim it's hers. We let her lie on live television. Marcus frowned. Why would we let her do that? Because then we show the world the truth. Not just documents and recordings that can be disputed, but video evidence. Side-by-side comparison. Her serving your dish while you're serving it across the street. Proving it's yours. Proving it's always been yours. Rosa's smile was thin and cold. We let her walk into her own trap. Then we spring it. Maya felt something click into place. The pieces she'd been trying to force together suddenly aligned. The pop-up isn't just competition. It's documentation. We're not just serving food. We're creating proof. We film everything. Timestamp everything. Show the world that your dish existed long before Victoria claimed it. Marcus was catching on now, leaning forward. And when she makes her announcement at the gala, we release our footage simultaneously. Same moment. Let people see the comparison in real time. Maya stood up, energy surging through her exhaustion. She thinks she's erasing my legacy. Instead, she's proving her own theft. Rosa nodded slowly. The wolf falls into his own trap. But we need more than just our own footage, Maya said, pacing now. We need witnesses. People who can testify they've been eating my river-smoked chicken for years. Documentation from old events, old menus, old photos. I have some. Marcus pulled out his phone. I've been photographing your dishes for years. Figured I'd need them for my own restaurant someday. Dates, locations, everything. I know people, Rosa added. Old customers. Other chefs who've seen you cook. I can make calls. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from Julian. My mother knows about the storefront. She found out an hour ago. She's sending lawyers in the morning. Then, immediately after. But I have a plan. Meet me at the space at 6 a.m. Bring everyone. Maya showed the text to her crew. Rosa's face went grim. Marcus cursed under his breath. So much for keeping it quiet, he said. She was always going to find out eventually. Maya checked the time. 4:47 a.m. Just over an hour until Julian's meeting. The question is what we do now. We keep moving, Rosa said firmly. We don't stop. We don't hesitate. We don't give her time to think. That's how you beat a bully. You keep punching until they're too tired to punch back. Maya looked at her crew. Exhausted. Scared. Still here. Then let's go punch. The storefront was transformed. In the 36 hours since Maya had first seen it, Julian's cleaning crew had worked miracles. The floors gleamed. The windows sparkled. The kitchen equipment hummed with fresh energy. It looked like an actual restaurant. Rough around the edges, sure, but real. Alive. Julian stood in the dining room, surrounded by papers and looking like he hadn't slept either. Before you say anything, he started, I need you to know that my mother finding out wasn't my fault. She has people watching the building permits office. The moment our shell company filed, she knew. I'm not blaming you. Maya walked past him, surveying the space. What's the plan? She's sending a cease and desist this morning. Claims we're violating some obscure zoning ordinance about food service within 500 feet of a licensed event venue. Julian handed her a legal document. It's nonsense. The law doesn't exist, but she's counting on us not having lawyers to fight it. Do we have lawyers? We have something better. Julian pulled out his phone, showed her an email. I reached out to the Missouri Restaurant Association last night. Told them what was happening. They're very interested in a story about a billionaire family using fake laws to crush small business competition. Rosa peered at the email. They'll provide legal support? Pro bono. And they're bringing media. Julian's smile was tight, but genuine. My mother's lawyers show up at 9 a.m. The Restaurant Association's lawyers and a reporter from the Post-Dispatch show up at 8:45. Marcus whistled low. You turned her attack into a publicity opportunity. I turned her attack into a story. A story about a chef who got publicly humiliated by a wealthy family, tried to rebuild, and then got attacked again by the same family's lawyers. Julian met Maya's eyes. People love an underdog. They especially love an underdog who keeps getting back up. Maya studied him. The expensive suit was wrinkled now. The perfect hair was mussed. He looked less like a Whitmore and more like someone who'd been up all night fighting. What happens when your mother finds out you're helping us? Really helping us? She'll disown me. Cut me off completely. Make sure I never work in this city, or any city, again. Julian said it matter-of-factly, like he was describing the weather. I've been preparing for that possibility for about 12 hours now. And you're okay with that? No. I'm terrified. He laughed, but it was shaky. I've never been poor. I've never had to struggle for anything. I have no idea how to live without the Whitmore name opening doors. He paused. But I also can't keep living as the person who helps my mother destroy people. I can't keep being the one who handles things. If losing everything is the price of being someone I can actually respect, then I'll learn to pay it. Maya nodded slowly. Then welcome to the team. Officially. Does that mean I'm allowed in the kitchen now? Don't push your luck. The morning played out exactly as Julian predicted. At 8:45 a.m., 2 lawyers from the Missouri Restaurant Association arrived with a reporter and a photographer. Maya gave them a tour of the space, explained the pop-up concept, talked about the pay-what-you-can model. At 9:02 a.m., Victoria Whitmore's lawyers walked in, cease and desist orders in hand, ready to shut everything down. They found cameras waiting. The confrontation was brief and beautiful. The Whitmore lawyers cited their fake ordinance. The Restaurant Association lawyers calmly demolished it. The reporter asked pointed questions about why one of St. Louis's wealthiest families was so concerned about a small pop-up restaurant. By noon, the story was online. Chef who stood up to billionaire faces new legal attack. Community rallies in support. The original gala video started trending again. This time, the narrative had shifted. Maya wasn't just the chef who got humiliated. She was the chef who kept fighting. The chef who refused to back down. The chef who was building something despite the forces trying to crush her. By 3 p.m., volunteers started showing up. They came from other restaurants, cooks and servers who'd heard the story and wanted to help. They came from the neighborhood, residents who were sick of wealthy developers treating their community like a playground. They came from the internet, people who'd seen the video and driven hours just to be part of something. Maya stood in the middle of the controlled chaos, watching strangers and friends work side by side, and felt something she hadn't felt in days. Hope. Chef. Darnell appeared at her elbow, face flushed with excitement. You need to see this. He showed her his phone. A social media post from Portia Whitmore. Loving the prep for our Hope Gala. Can't wait to unveil our original river smoked chicken recipe that's been in our family's events for years. Some people try to claim our ideas as their own, but the truth always comes out. Hashtag Whitmore Foundation, hashtag GalaReady, hashtag original recipes. Below the post, a photo of Maya's dish. Her plating, her garnish pattern, her grandmother's recipe, dressed up in Whitmore finery. She's baiting you, Darnell said nervously. Yes. Maya's voice was calm, focused. She is. What are we going to do? Maya looked around the restaurant, at her crew, at the volunteers, at the space that was transforming into something real despite everything working against it. We're going to let her think she's winning. We're going to finish building this place. And in 8 days, when the whole city is watching, we're going to show them who really owns that dish. She turned back to the kitchen, rolling up her sleeves. Now let's get back to work. We've got a menu to finalize. That night, after the volunteers had gone home, Maya sat alone in the empty dining room. The USB drive sat on the table in front of her. Everything she needed to destroy Victoria Whitmore. Everything she needed to end this war with a single devastating blow. She could release it now. Post it online. Send it to every journalist in the city. By morning, Victoria's empire would be crumbling. But Rose's words echoed in her mind. Let her walk into her own trap. Then spring it. Maya picked up the drive, turned it over in her fingers. Not yet. Not until the moment was perfect. Not until Victoria had committed fully to her lie. In front of cameras, in front of the world. Then, and only then, would Maya show everyone the truth. She pocketed the drive and walked out into the night. 8 days until the gala. 8 days until everything changed. 6 days before the gala, Maya's mother had a heart attack. The call came at 4:37 a.m. Maya was in the storefront kitchen, testing sauce reductions, when her phone lit up with the words, St. Mary's Hospital, and her whole body went cold. Ms. Okonkwo, your mother, Grace, was admitted 20 minutes ago. She's stable, but... Maya was in her car before the nurse finished speaking. Grace Okonkwo was 68 years old and had never been sick a day in her life. She'd raised Maya alone, worked double shifts at a laundry service for 30 years, and still insisted on cooking Sunday dinner every week even though her knees ached and her back hurt, and she swore the grocery stores were trying to kill her with their prices. Now she lay in a hospital bed, looking smaller than Maya had ever seen her, tubes and wires connecting her to machines that beeped with mechanical indifference. The doctor says it was mild, Grace said, her voice weak but irritated. I told them I was fine. Just indigestion. Mama. Maya took her hand, fighting tears. Indigestion doesn't put you in the ICU. This isn't the ICU. This is just observation. Grace squeezed her daughter's fingers. Don't look at me like that. I'm not dying. You better not be. I need you to see the pop-up. Grace's eyes softened. I saw the news. My baby, fighting the rich folks. A weak smile. Your grandmother would be proud. Maya's throat tightened. Her grandmother, Grace's mother, had been the one who taught her to cook. The river smoke technique. The heritage greens. All of it passed down through generations of women who'd learned to make beauty out of nothing. Mama, I can postpone everything. Stay here with you. You will do no such thing. Grace's voice found some of its old steel. I didn't raise a quitter. Those Whitmore people think they can push us around. You show them what Okonkwo women are made of. But nothing. I've got doctors. I've got nurses. I've got 3 church ladies who've been calling every hour asking what they can bring me. Grace patted Maya's hand. You've got a battle to win. Go win it. Maya stayed for 2 more hours, until the doctors confirmed Grace was stable and the church ladies arrived with enough food to feed the entire cardiac wing. Then she drove back to the storefront, eyes red, heart heavy, mind racing. She didn't notice the black car following her the entire way. It wasn't a coincidence. Julian's voice was tight when he met her at the restaurant that afternoon. He'd been digging all morning, making calls to contacts inside the Whitmore network. What do you mean? Maya was exhausted, running on coffee and fear, trying to focus on the day's prep work. Your mother's cardiologist. Do you know who funds his research lab? Maya went still. No. The Whitmore Foundation. They've donated over $2 million in the past 5 years. Julian pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. And this morning, my mother had breakfast with the hospital's chief administrator. An unscheduled meeting. Very private. The implication hit Maya like a physical blow. She targeted my mother? I don't know if she caused the heart attack. That would be extreme even for her. But the timing. Julian's jaw tightened. She's sending a message, reminding you that she can reach anyone you love. That nowhere is safe. Maya's hands started shaking. Not with fear this time. With rage. I'm going to destroy her. Maya, I'm going to burn her foundation to the ground. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what she is. I'm going to. Maya. Julian grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. That's exactly what she wants. She wants you angry. She wants you to do something reckless, something she can use against you. If you release that USB drive now, before the gala, she'll spin it as a desperate attack from a woman who is already unstable. My mother is in the hospital, and releasing the evidence won't help her. It won't protect her. It will just give Victoria ammunition to claim you're emotionally compromised. Julian's voice was gentle but firm. We stick to the plan. We wait for the gala. We let her commit to her lies on camera, and then we expose everything. Maya pulled away from him, pacing the small space. Every instinct screamed at her to fight, to strike, to do something. The idea of waiting, of letting Victoria think she'd won even for a moment, felt like swallowing broken glass. But she thought of her mother's face. You show them what Okonkwo women are made of. Okonkwo women didn't fight with fists. They fought with patience, with strategy, with the kind of cold determination that outlasted any rage. Fine. The word came out hard. We stick to the plan. But Julian. Yes. When this is over, when we've exposed everything, I want to look Victoria in the eye. I want her to know that I'm the one who brought her down. Maya's voice was quiet, controlled, deadly. Can you arrange that? Julian studied her for a long moment. Yes, I can arrange that. Good. Maya turned back to the kitchen. Now let's get to work. We've got 6 days to create a miracle. The next 5 days blurred into a frenzy of preparation. The kitchen came alive with activity. Rosa took command of pastry, her weathered hands creating delicate pear tarts and chocolate silk that made volunteers weep with anticipation. Marcus ran the savory station, drilling timing and technique into a crew of borrowed cooks who'd shown up just to be part of something. Darnell, no longer nervous, had become the unofficial expediter, tracking inventory, managing deliveries, keeping the chaos organized. And Maya cooked. She cooked like she was possessed, like every dish was a prayer and a weapon simultaneously. The river-smoked chicken emerged from test after test, each version more refined, more personal, more undeniably hers. This one, Rosa said on day 4, tasting the latest iteration. This is the one. You're sure? Mija, I've been cooking for 40 years. I know when something is perfect. Rosa set down her spoon. This dish doesn't just taste good. It tastes like memory. Like your grandmother's kitchen. Like Sunday dinner and hard work and love. Maya looked at the plate. Simple presentation. No architectural nonsense or edible gold. Just honest food, beautifully made. This is what she's trying to steal, Maya said quietly. Not just a recipe. Everything it represents. Then we don't let her. Rosa's voice was fierce. We show the world what this dish really is. Where it comes from. Who it belongs to. The documentary crew arrived on day 3. Julian had reached out to a young filmmaker named Marcus Chen, no relation to their Marcus, who'd made a name for himself with social justice pieces that went viral. He'd seen the gala video, followed the story online, and immediately volunteered his services. "This isn't just about food," Marcus Chin said, setting up his camera in the dining room. "This is about power, about who gets to tell their own story, about a system that protects wealth no matter how cruel it becomes." He interviewed everyone. Rosa talking about her mother's restaurant, Darnell describing what it felt like to work for someone who actually cared about her staff, Marcus explaining why he'd put his own restaurant dreams on hold to fight this battle, and Maya, sitting in the kitchen she'd built from nothing, talking about her grandmother. She used to say that food was memory made edible, that every dish carries the story of the hands that made it. Maya's voice was steady, but her eyes glistened. "When Victoria Whitmore serves my dish at her gala and claims it's hers, she's not just stealing a recipe. She's trying to erase my family's history, our legacy, everything we've survived and built and passed down." "What do you want people to understand?" Marcus Chin asked. "That food isn't about luxury or status or Instagram photos. It's about connection. It's about love made tangible." Maya looked directly at the camera. "And you can't buy that. You can't steal it. You can only create it with your own hands and your own heart." The night before the gala, Maya couldn't sleep. She sat in the empty dining room at 2 a.m., surrounded by the fruits of their labor. The space had transformed completely. Mismatched chairs that somehow worked together, handwritten menus in mason jars, tablecloths that were clearly just clean curtains but looked charming in the soft light. Tomorrow, everything would change. Either they'd pull off the impossible, or Victoria would crush them completely. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I'm outside. We need to talk." Maya walked to the door, hand hesitating on the lock. Through the window, she could see Celeste Harmon standing on the sidewalk, hugging herself against the cold. She opened the door. "You shouldn't be here. If Victoria's people see you, they won't." "I made sure." Celeste stepped inside quickly, looking around at the transformed space. "It's beautiful. Really beautiful." "What do you want, Celeste?" "To warn you." Celeste turned to face her. "Victoria knows something's coming. She doesn't know what exactly, but she's suspicious. She's been reviewing all her security, all her communications. She's preparing for an attack. Let her prepare. It won't help. You don't understand. She's not just playing defense." Celeste's voice dropped. "She's planning something for the gala broadcast. Something big. A surprise announcement that's going to change everything." Maya's stomach tightened. "What kind of announcement?" "I don't know the details. She's kept it completely compartmentalized. Only Portia and her lawyers know the full plan." Celeste ran a hand through her hair, agitated. "But I heard fragments. Something about ownership and legal documentation and ending this permanently. She's going to claim she has proof the recipe is hers. Maybe. Or something worse." Celeste met Maya's eyes. She's been in meetings with archivists, people who specialize in authenticating old documents. She's building evidence, fabricated evidence, to support her claim. Maya felt the ground shift beneath her feet. They'd prepared for Victoria to lie. They hadn't prepared for her to manufacture proof. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I gave you everything I had on that USB drive. If she's created new evidence, I don't have access to it. I don't know how to counter it." Celeste's voice cracked. "I thought exposing her old crimes would be enough. But she's always 3 steps ahead. She's always." "Stop." Maya held up a hand. "Stop spiraling. Let me think." She walked to the kitchen, stared at the prep stations, the ingredients waiting for tomorrow's service. Everything they'd built. Everything they'd risked. If Victoria produced fabricated documentation claiming ownership of the recipe, it wouldn't matter that Maya had photos and witnesses and years of history. In the court of public opinion, doubt was as good as proof. People would wonder, question. The narrative would muddy. The victory would evaporate. Unless, Celeste, you said the archivists were authenticating old documents. Yes. What? My grandmother kept journals, recipe books, handwritten notes going back to the 1960s. Maya's mind was racing now. I have them in storage. I never thought. They're just family things, personal things. But if Victoria is going to play the documentation game, you can beat her at it. Celeste's eyes widened. Authentic family records versus fabricated corporate archives. If you can prove your grandmother was making this dish decades ago, then it doesn't matter what documents Victoria produces. The timeline proves she's lying. Maya was already reaching for her phone, texting Rosa. Emergency. Need the key to my storage unit. Can you meet me there in 30 minutes? The response came immediately. On my way. Maya looked at Celeste. Thank you for warning me. I told you, I want a matter. I want something I do to actually make a difference. Celeste headed for the door, then paused. Good luck tomorrow. I'll be watching. The whole city will be watching. She disappeared into the night. Maya grabbed her jacket and ran. The storage unit was cold and dusty, packed with boxes from her grandmother's house that Maya hadn't touched since the funeral 3 years ago. Rosa arrived with the key and a flashlight, asking no questions, just helping Maya dig through decades of accumulated memory. Here, Maya pulled out a worn cardboard box, hands trembling. This is it. Inside were notebooks, dozens of them, handwritten recipes in her grandmother's careful script, dates noted in the margins, little comments, added more smoke this time, better, and Maya's favorite, make for her birthday, and mother taught me this, keep for grandchildren. And there, dated 1967, was the river smoked chicken recipe, complete with technique notes, ingredient sources, and a small photograph of her grandmother as a young woman, standing in a tiny kitchen, holding a plate of the exact dish Victoria Whitmore was planning to claim as her own. My God, Rosa breathed. This is beautiful. This is proof. Maya's voice was steady. Proof that my family has been making this dish for almost 60 years. Proof that Victoria Whitmore is a thief and a liar. She carefully photographed every page, every date, every note. Then she called Marcus Chun. I have something you need to see. Can you meet me at the restaurant? It's 4 a.m. Trust me, this is worth waking up for. By dawn, the documentary had a new ending. Marcus Chin filmed Maya going through her grandmother's journals, explaining each recipe's history, showing the evolution of techniques passed down through generations. He filmed the 1967 photograph, compared it to Victoria's promotional materials, demonstrated how the plating and garnish patterns were identical. This is dynamite, Marcus said, reviewing the footage. If she claims she has documentation, we counter with documentation that's decades older. She can't fake a 1967 photograph. She can try to claim it's fabricated. Let her try? We'll have archivists authenticate it. We'll have handwriting experts. We'll have the physical journals themselves. Marcus grinned. She's been building a sandcastle. You've been standing on bedrock this whole time. Maya looked at the journals spread across the prep table. Her grandmother's handwriting. Her grandmother's legacy. Food is memory made edible. Then let's make some memories, Maya said. The morning of the gala, Maya stood in the center of her restaurant, hers and her crew's, and everyone who'd believed in them, and looked at what they'd built. The dining room was ready. 50 seats, all spoken for, with a waiting list that had crashed their website. The kitchen was prepped and organized, every station ready for service. The documentary crew had their cameras positioned for maximum coverage. The USB drive sat in Maya's pocket, waiting for its moment. And across the street, the Whitmore Center gleamed with cold perfection. The Hope Gala would begin at 7 p.m. 300 donors. Live broadcast. Victoria's triumph. The pop-up would open at the same time. 50 guests. Pay what you can. Streaming online. 2 events. 2 visions. One city watching to see which one was real. Marcus approached, looking nervous but determined. Crew's ready. Everyone knows their stations. Rosa appeared at her other side. Pastries prepped. Pear tarts are perfect. Darnell bounced up, iPad in hand. Social media is going crazy. Everyone's talking about the restaurant showdown. The hashtag is trending nationally. Julian walked through the door, looking like he hadn't slept in days. My mother's people have been circling the block all morning. They're looking for any excuse to shut you down. Let them look. Maya straightened her chef's whites. We're legal. We're ready. And we're not backing down. She looked at each of them in turn. Her family, her army, her reason for fighting. Whatever happens tonight, I want you to know, all of you, that I couldn't have done this without you. You believed in me when I'd lost everything. You fought with me when it would have been easier to walk away. You. Save the speeches for after we win, Rosa interrupted. Right now, we've got mise en place to finish. Maya laughed, actually laughed, for the first time in days. You're right. Let's get to work. She headed for the kitchen, her crew falling in behind her. The battle was about to begin. At 6:45 p.m., Maya's phone buzzed one final time. A text from Celeste. Victoria's surprise announcement is scheduled for 9 p.m. Whatever you're planning, make sure it happens before then. Maya showed the message to Julian. 9 o'clock, he said. That gives us 2 hours to build momentum. Then we don't waste a second. Maya pocketed her phone and turned to her crew. First course fires at 7 sharp. Let's show this city what real food looks like. She took her position at the pass. Rosa started the first tarts. Marcus began plating appetizers. Darnell opened the doors. And 50 people walked in to witness history. The first plate left the pass at 7:02 p.m. Maya's hands moved with practiced precision, wiping the edge of a bowl, adjusting a garnish by millimeters, checking the temperature of the sauce one final time. Then she looked up at Darnell, waiting at the window. Table 1. Go. He lifted the plate like it was sacred and disappeared into the dining room. Through the pass window, Maya watched him deliver it to an elderly black woman in a Sunday church dress, one of the neighborhood residents who'd signed up the moment they heard about the pop-up. The woman looked at the appetizer, then up at Darnell, then back at the plate. She took a bite. Her eyes closed, and Maya knew they were going to be okay. Across the street, the Whitmore Center blazed with light. Town cars pulled up in an endless procession, disgorging donors in gowns and tuxedos, diamonds catching the flash of waiting photographers. The red carpet stretched like a tongue from the entrance, hungry for attention, desperate for validation. Julian stood at the pop-up's front window, watching the parade of wealth with an expression Maya couldn't quite read. Having second thoughts? She asked, passing behind him with a stack of fresh plates. Having memories. He didn't turn around. I've attended that gala every year since I was 12. Shook hands. Smiled. Pretended that any of it meant something beyond my family's ego. And now I'm watching from the outside. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. It's a better view. Julian. Maya paused, plates balanced on her arm. Thank you. For everything. He finally turned to look at her. Don't thank me yet. We haven't won. We haven't lost either. She nodded toward the dining room, where every table was full, where people were laughing and talking and taking photos of their food with genuine joy instead of social obligation. Look at them. That's real. Whatever happens tonight, that's real. Then let's make sure the whole city sees it. Julian pulled out his phone. The documentary stream goes live in 10 minutes. Marcus Chun is ready. Good. Maya headed back to the kitchen. Tell him to start with the grandmother's journals. Let people see where this food comes from before Victoria tries to claim it. At 7:30 p.m., the online stream launched. Marcus Chun had set up multiple cameras throughout the pop-up, one in the kitchen capturing the controlled chaos of service, one in the dining room showing guests' reactions, one focused on Maya at the pass. The feed cut between them smoothly, professionally, telling a story without words. You're watching live from Soul and Smoke. Marcus Chun's voiceover began, a pop-up restaurant that wasn't supposed to exist. 6 days ago, this space was abandoned. Tonight, it's serving 50 guests while the Whitmore Foundation holds its annual Hope Gala directly across the street. This is the story of one chef's fight against a family that tried to destroy her, and the food that brought a community together. The stream cut to footage from earlier that day, Maya going through her grandmother's journals, explaining the history of each recipe, showing the 1967 photograph. The river-smoked chicken you'll see tonight isn't just a dish. It's a legacy. 4 generations of Okonkwo women have made this recipe, refined it, passed it down like an inheritance. And tonight, while Victoria Whitmore serves a stolen version to her wealthy donors, the real thing is being served right here. The viewer count climbed. 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. In the kitchen, Maya didn't look at the numbers. She just cooked. The main course service began at 8:15 p.m. River smoked chicken, heritage greens, the dish that had started everything. Maya plated each one herself, refusing to let anyone else touch it. Every plate was identical. Every plate was perfect. Every plate was a message. This is mine. This is my family's. This is who we are. The dining room fell quiet as the first plates arrived. 50 people, neighbors, volunteers, strangers who'd driven hours to be there, stared at the food in front of them. Then they started eating. And the sounds that followed, the small moans of pleasure, the surprised laughter, the whispered, "Oh my God," were sweeter than any applause Maya had ever received. Chef. Rosa appeared at her elbow, eyes suspiciously bright. You should see this. She showed Maya her phone. The online stream had split screen with footage from the Hope Gala, which was also being broadcast live. The contrast was devastating. On one side, the pop-up, warm and alive, guests leaning across tables to share bites, to tell stories, to connect. On the other side, the Whitmore Center, cold and sterile, donors picking at their plates with mechanical politeness, more interested in being seen than in tasting. The comment section was exploding. The pop-up looks like a real party. The gala looks like a funeral. Did you see the woman crying over her chicken? When's the last time anyone cried happy tears at a Whitmore event? I'd rather eat at a folding table with those people than a crystal-covered one with those people. Hashtag Soul and Smoke is trending. Trending. They're choosing us, Rosa said softly. The city is choosing us. Maya didn't let herself feel it yet. It's not over. Victoria hasn't made her announcement. 8:45, Julian said, appearing beside them. 15 minutes until her surprise. Then we need to be ready. Maya turned to Marcus Chun, who was adjusting one of the cameras. When she makes her move, I want to respond immediately. Can you do that? Already set up. I've got someone inside the gala with a feed. The moment she starts talking, we'll know. Marcus grinned. This is going to be beautiful. At 8:58 p.m., Victoria Whitmore took the stage. The pop-up's dining room fell silent as Julian pulled up the gala feed on the main screen they'd set up in the corner. 50 guests turned to watch as the matriarch of the Whitmore family approached a crystal podium, smile perfect, diamonds glittering. Distinguished guests, beloved friends, generous supporters, Victoria began. Thank you for joining us for another Hope Gala. Your presence here tonight represents the very best of St. Louis, the commitment to community, to charity, to lifting up those less fortunate than ourselves. Polite applause. Maya's hands tightened on the counter. Before we continue with tonight's culinary experience, I wanted to address something that has been weighing on my heart. Many of you may have seen distressing videos online, videos that paint my family, and particularly my daughter Portia, in an unflattering light. A murmur ran through the gala crowd. At the pop-up, people exchanged glances. What you saw in those videos was a misunderstanding, taken out of context by those who wished to harm our foundation's important work. The chef in question, Victoria's smile flickered, just barely, has since launched a campaign of harassment against our family, making wild claims about recipe theft and corporate conspiracy. Here it comes, Julian muttered. Tonight, I want to set the record straight. A large screen descended behind Victoria. On it appeared an official-looking document, seals, stamps, elaborate calligraphy. This is a certificate of recipe authentication from the American Culinary Heritage Archive, confirming that the river smoke technique featured in tonight's menu has been used by Whitmore Foundation events since 1985. We have documentation, menus, photographs, chef testimonials, proving that this cooking method was developed by caterers working for our family 4 decades ago. The screen showed more documents, more photographs, an elaborate paper trail that looked absolutely legitimate. The chef now claiming ownership of this technique was born in 1988. She was 3 years old when we were already serving this dish. Victoria's voice dripped with false sympathy. I understand her confusion. Perhaps she learned the technique from one of our events and forgot the source. Memory can be tricky that way. Scattered, uncomfortable laughter from the gala crowd. In the pop-up, nobody moved. Maya felt the familiar cold rage building in her chest, but she held it, controlled it, channeled it. To ensure there's no further confusion, Victoria continued. We are announcing tonight that the Whitmore Foundation will be filing trademark protection for the river smoke technique. This will prevent anyone from profiting off our family's culinary heritage without proper attribution. She smiled at the camera, directly at the camera, as if she could see Maya watching. Now, please enjoy your main course. Our culinary director, Celeste Harmon, has prepared a stunning interpretation of this classic Whitmore dish. The feed cut to the kitchen, where Celeste, looking pale but composed, plated dishes that were exact copies of Maya's creation. The pop-up dining room erupted in outrage. That's garbage. She's lying. We all saw the journals. Someone should sue her for. Quiet. Maya's voice cut through the chaos. Not loud, but absolute. Everyone. Quiet. The room fell silent. Maya walked out from behind the pass, untying her apron, standing in the middle of her restaurant surrounded by 50 people who believed in her. "Marcus," she said calmly. "Are we live?" "We're live. 60,000 viewers and climbing." "Good." Maya looked directly at the camera. "My name is Maya Okonkwo. You just heard Victoria Whitmore claim that my family's recipe was stolen from her foundation. She showed you documents, certificates, proof." She paused, letting the moment build. "Now let me show you mine." She pulled out her grandmother's journal, the original, not a copy, and held it up to the camera. The worn leather cover, the yellowed pages, the handwriting that was unmistakably decades old. "This belonged to my grandmother, Ruth Okonkwo. She started writing in it in 1962, when she was 20 years old, before the Whitmore Foundation existed, before Victoria Whitmore was born." She opened to the River Smoke chicken page. "This recipe is dated 1967. That's 18 years before Victoria claims her family invented this technique. My grandmother learned it from her mother, who learned it from her mother before that. This isn't a recipe. It's a legacy." She looked up at the camera. "Victoria Whitmore just showed you fabricated documents. She created a fake history to steal credit for my family's work. And she did it on live television, in front of thousands of witnesses." Maya's voice was steady, but her eyes burned. "I have more than journals. I have photographs. I have witnesses, people who ate this dish at my grandmother's table 40 years ago. I have everything I need to prove that Victoria Whitmore is a thief and a fraud." She held up the USB drive. "And I have this. 3 years of documentation showing that Victoria Whitmore has been systematically destroying chefs' careers across this city. Secret payments, coordinated attacks, fabricated scandals, all of it recorded, all of it traceable." The online comment section exploded. The viewer count doubled, tripled. "But I'm not going to release it right now. Not yet." Maya tucked the drive back into her pocket. "Because I want Victoria Whitmore to look at those documents first. I want her to see exactly what I have. And then I want her to come here, to this restaurant, to this community she's tried to destroy, and explain herself. Face to face, like a human being." She looked directly at the camera. "Victoria, I know you're watching. You said I'd regret standing up to your family. You were wrong." Maya's voice was soft, but carried like thunder. "I told you that you'd regret what you did. I meant it. And this is your chance to prove me wrong." She gestured at the room around her. "This restaurant will be open until midnight. The doors are unlocked. If you want to defend yourself, if you genuinely believe that your family invented this recipe, then come here and say it to my face. Bring your documents. Bring your lawyers. Bring whoever you want." Maya's smile was cold and certain. "But if you don't show up, then everyone watching will know exactly what you are. A coward. A fraud. A bully who only knows how to destroy people from the shadows." She turned away from the camera. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have guests to feed." She walked back to the kitchen, picked up her apron, and started plating dessert. For 30 minutes, nothing happened. The pop-up continued service. The dessert course, Rose's pear tarts, caramelized to perfection, went out to thunderous appreciation. The online stream stayed live. Viewer count now over 200,000. At the Whitmore Center, the gala had gone quiet. Donors were checking their phones, whispering, watching Maya's response on screens hidden under tablecloths. The festive atmosphere had curdled into something tense and uncertain. Julian kept checking his phone, kept glancing out the window. "She's not coming," he said finally. "She won't do it. She doesn't know how to operate without her lawyers and her PR team between her and the world. Then everyone will know." "Car." Rose's sharp voice cut through the room. "Black car. Pulling up." Maya looked up. A town car had stopped directly in front of the pop-up. The driver's door opened. Then the passenger door. Victoria Whitmore stepped out onto the sidewalk. She was still in her gala gown, $10,000 of silk and beadwork, completely inappropriate for a storefront restaurant in a working-class neighborhood. Her face was composed, but Maya could see the tightness around her eyes, the barely controlled fury. Behind her came Portia, looking furious and terrified in equal measure. And behind Portia, 2 men in dark suits who were clearly lawyers. Victoria walked toward the entrance. "She actually came," Julian breathed. "I didn't think." "Everyone stay calm," Maya said. "Let her in. Let everyone see." The door opened. Victoria Whitmore walked into soul and smoke, and the room fell absolutely silent. She scanned the space, the mismatched chairs, the curtained tablecloths, the 50 guests staring at her with varying degrees of hostility and fascination. Her lip curled slightly, but she controlled it. Ms. Okonkwo. Her voice was cool, measured. You wanted to speak face to face. Here I am. Mrs. Whitmore. Maya stepped out from behind the pass, wiping her hands on her apron. Thank you for accepting my invitation. I didn't accept an invitation. I came to end this harassment of my family once and for all. Victoria's eyes swept the room. These theatrics might impress your audience, but they don't change facts. My foundation has documentation. Your foundation has fabrications. Maya's voice was calm. I have originals. She walked to a table where she'd laid out the journals, the photographs, the evidence she'd been gathering for weeks. Your authentication certificate claims the river smoke technique was developed in 1985. Here's my grandmother's journal entry from 1967, describing the exact same technique in her own handwriting. Maya held up the photograph. And here she is, making this dish, 20 years before your foundation claims to have invented it. Victoria's face flickered, just for a moment, with something that might have been uncertainty. Handwriting can be forged. Photographs can be manipulated. Then bring in your experts. Bring in archivists, carbon dating, whatever you want. Maya set down the journal. But we both know what they'll find. Because you didn't create this recipe, Victoria. You stole it. Just like you've stolen careers and reputations and lives for the past 40 years. The room was absolutely silent. 60,000 online viewers watched. 50 in-person guests held their breath. Portia stepped forward, face flushed with anger. You can't talk to my mother like. Portia. Victoria's voice snapped like a whip. Be quiet. The younger woman recoiled, clearly unused to being silenced in public. Victoria turned back to Maya. Her composure had cracked slightly, showing something harder underneath. You think you've won something here. You think this little performance changes anything. She gestured at the room. Tomorrow, this place closes. Your vendors disappear. Your staff becomes unemployable. You go back to being nobody, and I go back to running a foundation that does actual good in this community. Does it? Maya stepped closer. Does it do good, Victoria? Or does it just make you feel important while you destroy anyone who threatens your image? I built something that matters. I've funded hospitals, schools, research labs. You've also funded the destruction of at least 6 chefs' careers. You've paid Celeste Harmon $200,000 to systematically ruin people who refuse to serve your ego. Maya pulled out the USB drive. It's all documented. Payments, communications, recorded phone calls, your voice, giving explicit orders to destroy David Okafor. Your emails planning Maria Santos's divorce. Everything. Victoria's face went pale. That's illegally obtained. It was provided by a witness willing to testify. Multiple witnesses, actually. Former employees who are tired of being complicit in your cruelty. Maya held the drive between 2 fingers. The question isn't whether I can prove it. The question is whether you want me to prove it publicly or whether you're willing to make a different choice. Are you trying to blackmail me? I'm trying to give you a chance. One chance. More than you ever gave anyone else. Maya's voice softened, just slightly. Walk away, Victoria. Tonight, right now. Announce that the trademark filing was a mistake. Issue a public apology for the gala incident. And then leave. Leave me, leave my staff, leave every chef in this city alone. And if I refuse, then I release everything. Not just to the press, to prosecutors. Tax fraud, conspiracy, witness tampering. Enough to keep your lawyers busy for decades. Maya held Victoria's gaze. You might be able to outspend me in court, but you can't outspend the truth. The silence stretched like a wire about to snap. Victoria looked around the room, at the watching guests, at the cameras, at her daughter's frightened face, at the son who'd betrayed her standing near the kitchen like a stranger. Julian. Her voice cracked on the name. You did this. No, mother. Julian stepped forward, face pale, but voice steady. You did this. I just stopped helping you hide it. Something broke in Victoria's expression. Not defeat. Not yet, but the beginning of understanding. The first glimpse of a world where her power might not be absolute. This isn't over, she said finally. You think you've won, but people like me don't lose. We adapt. We wait. We'll be watching. Maya cut her off. The whole city will be watching. That's the difference between us, Victoria. You've spent your whole life making sure no one could see what you really are. Tonight, Everyone saw. She gestured toward the door. Your gala is waiting. Your donors are probably wondering where you went. I suggest you go back and give them a good show. Victoria stood frozen for a long moment. Then, without another word, she turned and walked out. Portia followed, casting one last venomous glare at Maya. The lawyers trailed behind, already tapping at their phones. The door closed, and the room exploded. The celebration lasted until midnight. Guests who'd been silent witnesses became vocal supporters, hugging Maya, shaking her hand, telling her they'd never seen anything so satisfying in their lives. The online comments were a flood of joy and vindication. The viewer count peaked at 400,000 before the stream ended. When the last guest finally left, Maya's crew collapsed into chairs around the kitchen, exhausted and elated. We did it. Darnell's voice was wondering. We actually did it. We survived round one, Marcus corrected. Victoria's not going to give up. She'll be back with lawyers, with new strategies, with... Let her come. Rosa raised a glass of water and mock toast. We beat her once. We'll beat her again. Julian stood near the window, watching the Whitmore Center's lights finally dim. She'll withdraw the trademark filing tomorrow. I know her. She won't risk the publicity of a legal battle she might lose. He turned to face them. But Marcus is right. This isn't over. She'll find other ways to make your lives difficult. Then we'll find other ways to fight back. Maya stretched, her body aching but her heart light. Right now, I don't want to think about tomorrow. I want to appreciate tonight. She looked around the kitchen, at the dirty pans, the empty prep stations, the remnants of a meal that had changed everything. My grandmother used to say that food was memory made edible. Tonight, we made a memory this city will never forget. So what happens now? Darnell asked. Maya thought about it. The pop-up was temporary, one night only, but what they'd built felt like something more. Something permanent. Now we find a real space. A permanent home. She smiled. Soul and Smoke isn't just a name anymore. It's a statement. And I'm not done making it. 1 week later, the fallout came faster than anyone expected. Victoria Whitmore withdrew the trademark filing the morning after the gala. 2 days later, the Whitmore Foundation announced that personal matters would prevent Victoria from participating in public events for the foreseeable future. Within a week, 3 of the 6 chefs Maya had identified in the USB files had come forward with their stories, and a local investigative journalist was preparing a major expose. The USB drive itself went to a law firm specializing in corporate fraud. Maya kept copies, but she'd meant what she said. She wanted justice, not revenge. Celeste Harmon disappeared. Julian said she'd probably left the country, and Maya found she couldn't bring herself to be angry about it. Some people carried enough punishment inside themselves. The pop-up space was flooded with offers from investors, landlords, and supporters wanting to help Maya open a permanent restaurant. She took her time, reading every proposal, consulting with her crew, making sure whoever she partnered with understood what Soul and Smoke was really about. In the end, she found a space 3 blocks from the original pop-up, a little bigger, a little nicer, but still rooted in the neighborhood that had embraced her. 6 months later, the grand opening of Soul and Smoke was nothing like the Whitmore Gala. No red carpet, no limousines, no donors paying thousands of dollars for the privilege of being seen. Just Maya's crew, Rosa commanding the pastry station, Marcus running the line, Darnell expediting like he'd been born for it. Just 50 guests who'd earned their seats through loyalty, through community, through being there when it mattered. And Julian, working the back of house in jeans and a t-shirt, washing dishes like it was the most important job in the world. You know you don't have to do that, Maya said, finding him elbow-deep in soapy water. We have a dishwasher. I know, but this is where I'm useful. He smiled, a real smile, without the Whitmore polish. Besides, I'm still learning how to work for a living. Might as well start at the bottom. Maya leaned against the counter, watching him scrub a pan with more care than necessary. Your mother called me yesterday. Julian went still. What did she want? To negotiate. She's offering to make the lawsuits go away in exchange for me signing an NDA and promising never to speak about the family publicly again. And I told her I'd think about it. Maya picked up a clean pan, started drying it. I'm going to decline. She won't be happy. She's not happy now. At least this way, the truth stays out there. Maya set down the pan. Besides, I have a restaurant to run. I don't have time to keep fighting Victoria Whitmore. Julian finally looked at her, something complicated in his expression. Thank you for not asking me to choose between helping you and completely destroying my family. You already chose. That night at the pop-up, you chose. I chose to stand with you. That's not the same as wanting my mother in prison. He returned to the dishes. She's awful. She's done terrible things. But she's still my mother. I don't know how to stop wanting her to be better. Maya was quiet for a moment. Then she reached out and touched his arm. She can still be better. That's up to her. What's up to you is who you want to be. Who do I want to be? Julian laughed softly. I have no idea. I'm 35 years old, and I'm washing dishes in a restaurant kitchen. My trust fund is gone. My family doesn't speak to me. I don't even know what I'm good at. You're good at showing up. Maya squeezed his arm once, then let go. You're good at choosing better when it would be easier to choose worse. Start there. The kitchen door swung open, and Rosa stuck her head in. First course fires in 5 minutes, Mija. Stop flirting with the help and get out here. Maya laughed and headed for the pass. The service was perfect. Not perfect like a Whitmore gala. Not cold and calculated and designed to impress. Perfect like a family dinner. Perfect like food made with love by people who trusted each other completely. When the last plate cleared and the last guest departed, Maya stood in the empty dining room, looking at the space she'd built. The walls were decorated with photographs now. Her grandmother, her mother, her crew, moments from the pop-up night that had changed everything. A handwritten menu sat in a frame by the door, the same one they'd used that first night. Soul and smoke. Pay what you can. Eat what you love. The door opened behind her. Maya didn't turn around. I thought you'd still be here. Julian's voice was soft. I'm not ready to leave yet. He came to stand beside her, both of them looking at the restaurant that had been born from humiliation and built through defiance. You did it, you know. What you said you'd do. His voice held wonder. You made them regret it. I made them face consequences. That's not the same as regret. Maya finally turned to look at him. Regret means understanding you were wrong. Victoria doesn't understand that. She just understands that she lost. Maybe that's enough. Maybe. Maya walked to the door, flipping off lights as she went. Or maybe she learns. Maybe seeing her empire crack teaches her something about the people she's been hurting all these years. You think she's capable of that? Maya paused at the final switch, the restaurant fading into darkness around her. I think everyone's capable of change. The question is whether they're brave enough to try. She smiled. I was. My crew was. You were. Maybe one day she will be too. She flipped the last light. Together, they walked out into the St. Louis night, the river rolling past in the distance, the city glittering around them, the future waiting like a meal not yet cooked. Same time tomorrow? Julian asked. Same time tomorrow. Maya locked the door behind them. We've got a lot of people to feed. She headed for her car, already thinking about the next day's menu, the next service, the next chance to make something beautiful. Behind her, the soul and smoke sign glowed in the darkness, small but steady, a beacon for anyone who needed to believe that standing up, fighting back, and cooking with love could actually change something. Maya smiled. This was only the beginning.